A young man, Keyaru, hears a voice inside his head directing him to a star spirit, who grants him the Halcyon Eye power to see all creation. In a previous life, Keyaru was a healing magician, but his power forced him to see the memories of those he healed. He was captured, abused, and forced to heal his captors in battle. In secret, he grew stronger, absorbing the experiences of his abusers and learned to use healing magic in unconventional ways. Eventually, he escaped, defeated a demon lord, and used her Philosopher's Stone to heal the world to 4 years in the past. With his memories returned, Keyaru swears vengeance on his main abuser, Princess Flare of Jeoral Kingdom. Flare, who has no memory of these events, senses his awakening and declares him the recovery hero. Keyaru has sex with the many maids in the royal household to steal their experience. Keyaru regenerates the amputated arm of grateful swordsman Kureha, but pretends to pass out. Flare callously orders the court magician to gain control of Keyaru, no matter how torturous the method. Confirming Flare is still as cruel as she was previously, Keyaru begins planning his revenge. Pretending to be afraid of absorbing painful memories, Keyaru swears to never heal again and pretends to allow Flare to imprison and get him addicted to drugs, even allowing himself to be raped to further fool her. Flare begins forcing Keyaru to heal injured heroes, but Keyaru secretly steals magical abilities from them. Keyaru uses his stolen abilities to escape and disguise himself as Leonard, Flare's Imperial Commander, and once alone with Flare, heals away her ability to use magic, rendering her defenseless. After repeatedly breaking then healing her fingers, Keyaru rapes Flare before he heals her in order to alter her appearance and memories. After healing a dead bodyguard's face to look like Flare, Keyaru frames Leonard before he escapes with the real Flare. Keyaru decides to target his other abusers, Bullet and Blade, before seeking out the demon lord he previously defeated to find out what she had been trying to protect when she died. With Flare now an amnesiac, Keyaru renames her Freya, convinces her she is his servant and lover, while he changes his face and takes the hero name Keyaru the Healer, leaving his weak name Keyaru behind. Keyaru decides he and Freya must leave the city. However, he also learns that Norn, Flare's younger, smarter, and more sadistic sister, is returning to the city, and he is determined to avoid her. Keyaru has a nightmare of his previous life. Every night, Flare would force him to pleasure her. Then the sword heroine, Blade, would beat him for touching Flare before sexually assaulting him since she could not sleep with Flare herself. Finally, Bullet, the gun hero, would violently rape him, claiming to love him before choking him unconscious. They later arrive at La Narita, a lawless city dominated by criminals who prey on the poor. With Halcyon Eye, Keyaru detects the town's water is contaminated, making whoever drinks it sick. Using his own immunity to poisons, Keyaru creates a cure from his blood and sells it to a merchant, promising to continue making more in exchange for half the profits. He next visits a slave trader and purchases a female ice wolf demi-human, noting that her rage has kept her conscious despite being infected and is interested in what will happen when she gets revenge against whoever she hates so much. As Keyaru heals Setsuna, the latter's memories reveal she and other Ice Wolf tribe members had attempted to stop Jeoral mercenaries from discovering her village, only to be easily overpowered. The dying demi-humans told the mercenaries of their village, and Setsuna would then be sold off to a slave trader. Setsuna wakes up and discovers her ailment was cured. Although thankful, Setsuna attacks Keyaru out of an obligation to be elsewhere, only to be easily subdued. Keyaru reveals his knowledge of the past, and that Setsuna had reached a plateau in terms of her strength. However, Keyaru adds that as a hero, he is able to raise the limits of her current strength, and offers this to her in exchange for her true name. Knowing full well she would become his slave upon revealing it, Setsuna resolves to do so if it means saving her village. The two then have sex. Keyaru, Freya, and Setsuna arrive atop a cliff facing the Ice Wolf village and discover soldiers had already arrived abusing their captives. Before Setsuna can rush in, Keyaru tells her this was meant to draw out the demi-human warriors and convinces her to wait until he thins out the enemy forces. Once battle ignites between the kingdom and the demi-humans, Keyaru dons a mask and announces himself as the sword hero before charging in. With his heal ability, he replicates Kureha Clairet's sword techniques while killing some soldiers. Before a larger group of soldiers can attack Keyaru, Freya casts Falling Star that does away with the crowd. With the enemy numbers reduced, Keyaru signals Setsuna to indulge in killing the survivors with the rest of her tribe. After the battle, Keyaru and Setsuna discover the source of the poisoned water was a corpse of a monster placed in Lanarita's water source by demi-humans. Keyaru offers to either increase the potency of the poison or turn the river into medicine. Setsuna chooses the latter, not wanting those uninvolved to be harmed. During another round of sex, Setsuna completely offers herself to Keyaru for aiding her revenge and saving her tribe, before telling him her true name. Afterwards, Keyaru decides there were many other things for him to do as he has only started getting revenge. At Keyaru Kingdom, the king reprimands Reynard for allowing Flare to die, but offers him a final chance to restore his reputation. Capture Keyaru using any means necessary. Reynard is ecstatic to get revenge, and Norn, standing beside the king, places her hand on the latter's shoulder. At Keyaru Kingdom, Kureha Clairet overhears that an alleged hero of the sword had eliminated a troop of soldiers using the Clairet sword technique, which bothers her. After Keyaru, Setsuna, and Freya sexually indulge themselves in a river, they make way to Lanarita. They subdue a man on the street who confronts them and kill him after learning he was a deserting soldier from the Ice Wolf village. Upon meeting the merchant, the latter summons the presence of several men to incite Keyaru to give the recipe of healing potion. Not wanting blood spilt over something trivial, Keyaru sells him the recipe for 500 gold pieces. On the way out, he reveals to Setsuna and Freya that he withheld the fact that the potion needed antibodies from himself to be effective, and that the illness would soon subside from the town, effectively putting the merchant at a loss of gold. Keyaru is then amused by Kureha, who manages to graze his cheek. Kureha declares him the felon who attacked the army protecting the Ice Wolf clan village, and that she would not allow him to disgrace the Clairet family. Freya and Setsuna attempt to tell the truth of what happened, but Kureha assumes them to be brainwashed. Freya casts a fireball at her, but Kureha manages to evade it and incapacitate her with her scabbard. Provoked over the injuring of his property, Keyaru declares he has no choice but to break Kureha. During their duel, Keyaru manages to shatter her sword through alchemical corrosion, but Kureha is able to keep him at bay after drawing another. Keyaru tosses a flask while throwing several knives at her, which she manages to cut. The split aphrodisiac causes Kureha to become heavily aroused, and she stabs her leg to overcome the effect. She manages to lop off Keyaru's right arm, but Keyaru had expected this. He quickly regenerates his lost limb, and with it uses heal on Kureha to show her memories of the kingdom's abuse of demi-humans, causing her to faint. Kureha wakes up at an inn, refusing to believe that the Keyaru kingdom would commit the crimes she saw in her visions, even more so after Keyaru reveals himself as the healing hero. In response, Freya, adopting Flare's appearance, tells Kureha she faked her death as part of a joint effort with Keyaru to expose the dark nature of the kingdom, and that they had also protected the village from the kingdom's soldiers. Kureha accepts that she had been fighting the wrong side and decides to rethink what justice truly meant. Referring back to when Keyaru healed her arm, she reaffirms her promise to assist him. She then succumbs to the effects of the aphrodisiac and has sex with Keyaru. Meanwhile, Reynard and his forces approach Alban village, the former eager to exact revenge. Keyaru and his companions are alerted outside to see that Keyaru knights have rounded up the villagers from Keyaru's village in an attempt to draw him out. Noticing that Anna is not among them, Keyaru disguises himself as one of the soldiers from the Ice Wolf village and meets with a knight to gather information. After giving the knight an invitation for Reynard to meet up with him, Keyaru learns from him that the captain of the knights, Reynard, had publicly raped Anna in front of the other villagers, much to his horror. Once Reynard and his squad meet up with the disguised Keyaru, the latter reveals himself. Reynard furiously attempts to draw his sword, but paralyzing gas immobilizes him and his unit. Through his heal ability, Keyaru is able to witness the exact circumstances of Anna's rape, which aggravates him even further. Keyaru then transforms him into a woman and declares that he will make him suffer the way Anna did. Reynard mockingly revels in recounting the experience, but his joy turns to horror upon seeing his men setting their sights on him. Keyaru states that Reynard inflicts pain on others simply because he doesn't feel it himself. He then tells Reynard to do so as his brainwashed men begin ravaging him. To ensure Reynard's demise, Keyaru sets the building on fire. Keyaru rushes to his home village to help Anna, but she dies even as he repeatedly tries to heal her. He returns to the inn to vent via rough sex with Setsuna and Freya, and decides that this will be the last time he will shed tears. At Keyaru Castle, Norn is displeased to hear that Reynard has gone missing, so she steps on her servant John to vent and decides to execute all the villagers. She contemplates getting Blade's help, but is put off when she notes her overall nature. Back at the inn, Kureha tells Keyaru that the villagers have been placed in the Colosseum, a fortified arena with 2 magic barriers that siphon stamina and energy. She questions his resolve to save the villagers despite the poor odds, and Keyaru insists, claiming that doing so would prevent more victims of the Keyaru Kingdom. Kureha also informs that Norn has returned from her studies, which triggers Keyaru and Freya. A flashback to the previous timeline reveals Norn was able to figure out Keyaru had regained his sanity during captivity. In exchange for keeping her mouth shut, she had Keyaru repeat the sexual act he performed on Flare. Keyaru regards her as the one person able to kill him in this world, and decides not to target her until she has done something to him. Keyaru blends in with the spectators at the Colosseum, having made preparations to save the villagers. Before the execution starts, Keyaru grabs the attention of everyone present by revealing himself. Keyaru begins to slaughter the executioners and does not stop even when they start killing the villagers. The executioners try to use a magical barrier to drain his strength, but Freya reverses the effect. Keyaru learns the villagers were fed poison earlier, so they were already dying. He is only able to save one boy. Freya reveals herself, pretending to be Flare, and reveals the corruption in Keyaru, causing the audience to turn on the executioners and kill them. Aware the boy blames him for everything that happened to the village, Keyaru tells the merchant to care for him. Kureha leaves to continue spying on the kingdom and warns him that Norn and her army are headed for the city of Brianka. Keyaru notes that Norn never went to Brianka in his first life. Keyaru decides to go to Brianka as well because the Demon Lord will be there and he wants to meet her again. Along the way, they make camp and Keyaru has sex with Freya and Setsuna. Freya says she will kill anyone who stands in his way, causing Keyaru to realize that excluding her devotion to him, her personality is not that different from Flare. Freya's incredible power causes her magic staves to eventually break, so Keyaru decides that they will one day have to acquire divine weapons that can handle it. The party arrives at Brianka, where humans and other races live in harmony, unlike other places. At a restaurant, they meet Eve Reese, the demon lord Keyaru met and defeated in his first life, but she is less powerful, causing Keyaru to realize she is not yet the demon lord. She is a member of the Blackwing tribe, whom the current demon lord ordered to be eradicated. Bounty hunters attack her and she is hit by a poisoned arrow, but Keyaru's party rescues and heals her. While hiding out, Keyaru explains to Eve that he met her in the future and she will become the demon lord, offering to protect her until she claims her destiny. She does not believe him, but agrees to stay with the group. Later that night, Eve wakes up and is shocked and embarrassed to find Keyaru having sex with Freya and Setsuna right in front of her. Keyaru invites her to join them and taunts her to prove she is a grown-up. Eve turns down Keyaru's offer, but he, Freya, and Setsuna scold her. Keyaru says once she becomes the Demon Lord, he wants the Philosopher's Stone, and for her to secure peace between humans and demons. While discussing their combat capabilities, Eve explains that she can summon the legendary disease-spreading bird, Caladrius, but she will have to endure several trials, including traveling all around the world, to make it obey her. Keyaru disguises himself and scouts the city, but a bounty hunter recognizes him due to his scent, forcing Keyaru to kill him. Keyaru returns and has sex with Freya and Setsuna. Embarrassed, Eve leaves the room, but aroused, she listens and masturbates. Keyaru notes it's only a matter of time before she gives in to his advances. Keyaru and Setsuna track down the bounty hunters and massacre them. As payback for them destroying the restaurant, they leave the survivors in a pit to be devoured by a beast. Freya buys a magic staff and Keyaru improves it. When he improves the other staves in the store, the owner gives him some money back and a mithril sword. Keyaru is furious when Norn, her army, and Blade arrive in Brianka. Keyaru retreats when he notices Norn and Blade are accompanied by the hero Hawkeye. That night, Blade rapes and tortures a girl. Keyaru sells some potions to Carmen, the store owner, who warns him about the girl's fate. After having sex with Freya and Setsuna, Keyaru decides to use himself as bait. He then transforms into a woman named Keyaru. At a pub, Blade is enticed by Keyaru and offers her a drink. Blade transfers a sleeping potion via a kiss, and Keyaru pretends to pass out. While Blade carries her to her hotel, the father of the girl whom Blade raped attacks her. As such, Keyaru is forced to fight Blade. However, Blade's sword, Ragnarok, enhances her strength and allows her to heal from injuries. Keyaru is knocked out cold and later wakes up tied to Blade's bed. Blade prepares to rape her, but is horrified to discover Keyaru has a penis. Keyaru breaks her bonds and stabs Blade with a poisoned dagger. Blade attempts to reach Ragnarok to heal, but is stabbed again and passes out. Keyaru declares it is time for revenge. Keyaru reads Blade's memories and learns Norn plans to attack Brianka in 3 days. After paralyzing Blade's legs, she has 3 brainwashed men gang rape her. The men then kill and eat her, causing Ragnarok to revert to a gem. After reverting to his true form, Keyaru meets Trist Organ, aka Hawkeye. Hawkeye is impressed by the potions he sold to Karaman and invites him to join his army, but he declines. Realizing Hawkeye is too powerful for him, Keyaru connects with the gem to form a new weapon. It transforms into a clawed gauntlet called Georgius that can heal the user's injuries. Keyaru celebrates by having sex with Freya and Setsuna, while Eve masturbates in the room this time. On the 3rd day, Norn becomes tired of searching for Blade and dismisses her as worthless. Accusing the demons of Brianka of brainwashing humans into accepting them, Norn commands her army to kill everyone. Keyaru is furious when Karaman is killed and begins to slaughter the soldiers. Norn and Hawkeye are shocked when Freya, pretending to be Flare, projects a giant hologram of herself in the sky. Freya declares that non-humans are not the enemy and asks the soldiers to stand down, which they do. As Norn and Hawkeye express confusion, Keyaru breaks in and battles Hawkeye, kills him, then knocks out Norn. Afterwards, he reads her memories and learns she was responsible for Leonard attacking his village. When she wakes up, he brainwashes Freya into acting like a dog, then promises that if she can withstand Freya's attentions without orgasming until morning, he will release her. Norn fails the challenge, so he and Freya rape her. He then erases Norn's memories and turns her into Ellen, his little sister who is in love with him, and turns Freya back to normal. Kureha arrives and Keyaru introduces Ellen. Keyaru has sex with Freya, Setsuna, Ellen, and Kureha while Eve masturbates. He decides his party will travel until they can help Eve tame Caladrius, but pauses to lay flowers on Karaman's grave, saying he avenged him and Anna. The king of Jorial assigns Bullet to stop Keyaru, and Bullet is eager to rape him again. Keyaru realizes he is starting to care for his girls, but decides he will never know peace until he gets revenge on Bullet too. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to let us know by leaving a like, subscribe for more stories, and check out other stories here. And if you liked my voice, feel free to visit me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Dalekcraft314.